Welcome everybody to the first video of Centre Half Reviewer. What I'll be doing is uploading videos basically on analysing players, teams, coaches, and also the finals and results throughout the AFL season. This basically is my analysis of what's going on based on my interpretation, and I'm happy to hear your opinions based on the teams, players, and also the results throughout the year. So it's comment below in those videos of your opinions. So basically today, the first video will be an analysis of the club's transfer period dealing. So looking at the trades, who's in and who's out for each team. So the first video today is based on the first half of the team, so we'll look from Adelaide, Brisbane, Carlton, Collingwood, Essendon, Fremantle, Geelong and Gold Coast in regards to their trade period. So first of all, looking at the Adelaide Crows, not a bad trade period in their regards, except the loss of Patrick Dangerfield was obviously the major headline in that regard, even though it was probably foreseen to be occurring. Still a big loss for the LA Crows, being a huge leader for the midfield, but I'm sure there will be other players who will be stepping up in the midfield to fill the void left by him. They've also picked up a couple of good players in Troy Menzel from Carlton, who tend to be very good at trading out their good players. And also Paul Seaman from Collingwood, two very big inclusions to the Crows, and I believe they'll be quite influential in how successful they'll be during the year. Other ins and outs of the Crows, Curly Hansen will probably be an interesting one from the Giants, and also Alex Keith as a fun fact, basically, currently signed with the Adelaide Strikers in the Big Bash, so interesting to see how he goes on the footy field as well, if he gets the opportunity in the first grade. Other key outs for the Crows, you got Sam Kerridge. He was a good prospect, I thought. Also the loss of James Pozzelli, even though he hasn't played too much in the first team recently, he still offered that leadership to the team, and also Brent Riley as well with the leadership aspects. So it's a bit of an interesting trade period for the Crows. Couple of key losses, but also a couple of key pickups, which will be interesting to see how they go in the 2016 season. So looking at the Brisbane Lions now, probably the big key in is Ryan Bastanak from the Kangaroos. It's a good addition to the team. The team's quite a young side, which are on the rise, I think. So it'd be interesting to see how they go in the 2016 season. Ryan has obviously had a very good career so far with the Kangaroos, and it'd be interesting to see how that translates over into the Brisbane team. In regards to the outs, the big key out is obviously James Aish, and he was a talk of 2015 as well in their regard, about whether he was going to leave, was he going to go home to South Australia, but he ended up at Collingwood, so that's a big out for the Brisbane. As also Matthew Leuenberger through free agency has left, key tool in the team. Might not have shown full potential last season, but obviously he has the potential to obviously highlight his skills in years to come. Other outs, you have a couple of retirees, and also Jack Redden's been traded, and also Brent Staker's retired. He's had a decent career, predominantly at West Coast, but still offered a bit of substance to the Brisbane side. Looking at Carlton, this again is an interesting one based on how their last season went, and now the addition of Brendan Bolton from Hawthorn as their new coach. Their transfer period, I rate, is quite under par in that regard, based on them trying to be a fresh start for the 2016 season. Um, However, the inclusion of Sam Kerridge is a good one, even though they lost Troy Menzel. Sam Kerridge is still a decent pickup. Um, it'll be interesting to see how the international from America goes in the team, Michael Korchek, and also in regards to the outs, Lockie Henderson. That's quite a big out. He's quite a promising player. So again, a good player has been traded out. And then the huge loss of Chris Judd through retirement. So there's that loss of leadership on the field. So guys in the leadership team will need to step up to fill his void, such as Murphy in particular. Also, Chris Yarra, that's an interesting trade as well, with the loss of Eddie Betts before to the Crows. How he went with the Crows has obviously highlighted that Carlton's trade of him has either sparked him into form, or that's just another silly trade. So it'll be interesting to see how Chris Yarra goes at his new club in regards to whether he can emulate what Eddie Betts did at the Crows last season. So a bit of a poor trade in my opinion for them this transfer period. Other outs, Andrew Carazo's had a good leadership on the field. He's out through retirement. Robbie Warnock's been delisted. He was obviously okay, but obviously hasn't shown enough in the side. So yeah, another interesting year for Carlton coming up. Looking at Collingwood, the two key ins, as I said before, James Aish, the big trade out of Brisbane, coming to the side. He'll be a good addition to the team, who are in that bit of in between, whether they're going to be a great side to come, or one of those in between teams where they'll win quite a few games but then drop a couple of games, which could impact their ladder position. So James Aish is going to be a decent addition to their team. Also, the big inclusion of Jeremy Howe as well. That'll be an interesting prospect to see how he goes in their team this season, the big high flyer. So he might also help in regards to kicking a couple of goals, possibly help out the forward line. In regards to outs, Paul Seaman's the big out, although he was probably he's not a huge loss, I guess, to Collingwood, but a bigger pickup to the Crows. But still, he was quite a decent player. Other key outs, Ben Kennedy is an interesting one. He was a young prospect at Collingwood. However, obviously they haven't found a position for him in this team. So hopefully he'll do well at another club. So not a bad transfer period for Collingwood. Looking at Essendon, well, this is interesting now, probably more interesting now, based on what's just come out in regards to their 12 players being banned for the 2016 season. So coming in, Matthew Leuenberger, as I said before, last from Brisbane, pick up at Essendon. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes in regards to his form for the 2016 season. He'll have to play a big role based on the loss of other players. Craig Berg's an interesting pickup as well. But in regards to the outs, Jake Carlisle, he was obviously a good player. Again, he wasn't going to play anyway, but still, big out. Paul Chapman's retirement, again, a loss of leadership, and at this stage, it's probably going to be a bit of a big hit to the team in regards to leadership on the field, where you've got obviously Goddard's the key leader, but and also they've picked up Kelly, and also Ryan Crowley as well, who can offer leadership to the team with the obviously additional players that they'll get. But still, Paul Chapman, obviously a legend of the game and big loss as well to the team. Also, same with Dustin Fletcher as well, leadership in the back line. So a couple of leaders leaving the club. But then they've also picked up a couple which will be interesting to see what happens in the next season. Okay, Fremantle, as I said just previously, Ryan Crowley's been delisted, which was, I reckon, an interesting delisting because there was talk about whether he was going to be considered for the finals with Fremantle based on his previous ban and coming back into the team, and then all of a sudden he's been delisted, which was a bit of a shock, I thought. But obviously Fremantle want to move on without him, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes as the top-up player to Essendon and whether he can get drafted um, in the next season. Also, the retirement of Luke McFarlane, that's a big out in regards to leadership again. He's been a legend of the club there and surely be missed in the team. Um, Other retirement as well, Paul Duffield. Um, in regards to the ins, Harley Bennell's the big in from the Gold Coast Suns. He'll be able to add quite a bit of pace to the team and maybe a bit more quicker movement of the ball in regards to their push for a top four and again for the premiership, which I still doubt will occur with this team, with him being the only major in. But again, it'll be an interesting season for Fremantle and see how they go with Harley Bennell. Geelong, probably one of the biggest winners in regards to the trade period. The addition of Patrick Dangerfield, Lockie Henderson, and Scott Selwood are huge pickups for Geelong. Dangerfield will be again dangerous in the middle for Geelong with their current midfield as well. And then Scott Selwood teaming up with his brother, also a good pickup from West Coast. And then Lockie Henderson, as I said before, is a good promising player and be also a good addition to Geelong. So I consider Geelong to be a big threat in the 2016 season based on these trades, in addition to their current side. Even though their defence is probably the shakiest part of the team, but if they can win the ball out the middle with these guys in addition to the current team, and if their forwards are firing, then Geelong will be quite dangerous, I think. In regards to the outs, loss of Steve Johnson to the GWS, he's probably one of those ones where you probably could have risked, or not risked, but offered another 1 year contract to see how he goes. He's still a very good player. Obviously, Geelong want to get new blood in and move on from there. In regards to losing a few other senior players as well, and James Kelly, who's now been added to Geelong added to Essendon as a top-up player, and then also the loss of Jared Rivers down back, and then Matthew Stokes is also retired. So quite a few leaders leaving the club, but the fresh blood coming in is certainly quite decent, and it'll be interesting to see how they go in the next season. Looking at Gold Coast, not really sure what to think about their trades. Basically, it's a whole lot of delistings of these guys who haven't played much footy, and then picking up a whole lot of other young guys, basically to replace them, in my opinion. So I'm not too sure what to read into that. Just maybe trying a new group, basically seeing if they can push for a first team place. The big ins and outs in Matthew Rosa is a decent pickup for the Suns. Daniel Curry's not a bad pickup as well. In regards to the outs, Harley Bennell's obviously, I think Gold Coast were looking to move on without him, even though he's a good player. Obviously, they just didn't want to deal with the incidents that happened with him. So, a big loss in regards to talent, but probably a decent move off the field in regards to letting him go. And then also the trade of Charlie Dixon, the big loss. He's a good, promising player. With the side that Gold Coast have, if other people can step up, good for them. If not, maybe Charlie Dixon will be a huge loss to them. So that's my first analysis of the first half of the AFL teams in regards to their trade period. check back in for the second half, which I'll upload soon, and leave any comments below on your opinions of these clubs' trades, and hope to hear your opinions soon on my other videos.